Welcome back, everybody. We're here for episode number 2 of the Artur Beterbiev versus Dimitri Bivol fight week. We covered Ben Whittaker last night against Liam Cameron. Tonight, as you can see on the screen, we're going for the evergreen Chris Eubank Jr. against Kamil Szeremeta for that beautiful IBO Middleweight Championship that we so badly love and crave on this show. Of course, Liam and Jay are with me again tonight. How's things, boys?
Yeah, good. You'll have to excuse my lighting. I'm again signing my work van en route, but
he doesn't miss any shows. He doesn't miss them. The work van on that Jay's Fight Talk is in and around it.
He's here and there. He's always around.
I'll make an appearance.
Boys, Chris Eubank Jr. against Kamil Szeremeta. Fabio Wardley seems to think that him and Fraser Clark are going to be the chief support. So let's just assume that it's going to be on 2 before the main event of Bivol Beterbiev. What do you make of the fight being on the card, first of all?
I think it's rubbish. With the utmost respect to his opponent, he's boxed 2 people that we've all heard of in Gennady Golovkin and Jaime Munguia. He's not boxed at anywhere near the level of Chris Eubank Jr. I can't believe I've even just said that, but Chris Eubank Jr. has boxed at a considerably higher level. He doesn't pose any, or shouldn't pose any imminent threat to Chris Eubank Jr. And this is a fight that don't deserve to be on this card because it's not a 50-50 fight. If you look, the majority of these fights are at the very least 60-40. I mean, even Cameron Whittaker that we covered last night is a fight because we don't know how good Ben Whittaker is. We know what level Chris Eubank Jr. is at. He is screaming for world titles. I mean, he's talking about Terence Crawford, Canelo. You know, he was calling out Golovkin. He's fought the likes of George Groves, Liam Smith. And now he's fighting a kid that 99% of the audience have never heard of. Don't respect it, me. I do not respect it from him or the promotion. He's not that much of a draw that they had to have him on.
That's the general consensus.
It's Eubank Jr. doing Eubank Jr. things. Why did he end up with Boxer? One simple reason. Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn have both come out and openly said he told us he wanted this level of opponent for a couple of fights as layups and then to go big after that. And both Eddie and Frank said, no, we're not going to let you. We want you straight into big fights.
They've been there and done it with Eubank before.
Exactly.
Frank might not have, but Eddie's definitely given him layups and stuff like that in the past.
I mean, look, it's a partnership with Boxer. Let's remember that. It's not a promotional deal. It's a partnership, which basically means Ben Shalom stands there smiling next to Eubank while Eubank pulls the puppet strings and Ben does what Chris says effectively, or he'll get moved on like we've seen with everyone Chris Eubank Jr. has worked with. Look, he's moved to Jonathan Banks for this fight because Jonathan Banks trains Golovkin, who Szeremeta fought back in 2018, 2019, I think it was. So he thinks Jonathan Banks is going to have the perfect game plan to beat Szeremeta. Firstly on that, if you're of the level you're saying you're at, it shouldn't matter who your trainer is.
Why do you need to change to Jonathan Banks?
I've got the fucking game plan to beat Szeremeta. Just smack him in his face more times than he smacks you in the face. If you're as good as what you say you are, and I'm not being dismissive of boxing skill sets, right? Because I've actually picked Szeremeta as my shock of the night, potentially. But if you are of the level, remember his dad was saying he was a man to beat them all back in the day, right?
I think Jay's Fight Talk has got everyone as a shock of the night. He's definitely
to hedge my bets.
He's definitely got more than one shock of the night.
Coming from Mr. Flip-Flop up there, I haven't decided. I haven't decided on my shock of the night yet, young man. I'm just saying that potentially we could see that. There is going to be an upset. I said that last night, didn't I? There will be at least one upset on that card. And it could be the fight we spoke about last night or potentially this one. I believe the other ones are too close for it to be a shocking.
Oppenheimer and Massey's not close in my opinion.
No.
I'm not so sure.
When you talk about this fight for me, this fight becomes close if Eubank Jr. is complacent. So we've had this conversation. How many times have we said, what's Eubank Jr. motivated by? Belts or money? don't need your answer because we all know what the answer is. So if he's looking beyond this fight to Conor Benn, save your opinions on that, or something that's with a load of money in it and hasn't taken Szeremeta seriously, this Szeremeta kid's going to have the night of his life on Saturday because he knows he's in Saudi. It's a big chance. He's going to become an IBO world champion. Congratulations. But on a serious note, he's in Saudi Arabia. If he delivers against Eubank Jr., he's going to propel himself into a level he'd never expected to be in. So if Eubank's even 10% off, he'll make this fight a lot harder than it should be for himself.
I mean, we've had Padley beat Chamberlain, didn't he, the week before last?
Yep.
You know, shocks happen on
There's
cards
always
like
one.
this.
You are right. There's always one.
There's always one. You know what I mean? And let's be honest. I don't think I'd be devastated if Chris Eubank Jr. got filled in, to be honest, because that kid needs his bubble bursting. You know, he got the revenge as such against Liam Smith. They'll say Liam Smith wasn't a
ghost of Liam Smith. He got his revenge against.
And I'm sick of hearing, you know, it's coming from Chris Eubank Jr. It's coming. He's 35 now.
He's the next gen.
He's a kid. I mean, he should take Junior out of his name for the start off. He's 35 for God's sake. Do you know what I mean? He's had to tattoo his hairline back on. Yes, I'm jealous, Chris. So I can't afford it. I can't afford it. I got a sleeve instead. But no, you know, in all seriousness, he don't need layup fights. Boxer needs him more than he needs Boxer at the minute. It's sort of like you say, a partnership as such.
It's an arrangement.
It's an arrangement. For me, if he does not have a big fight after this next one, then he's a match. I'd say he's
mate. They're lining up the Conor Benn fight, man. Turkey wants.
Well, he's already said. I watched.
He said it, hasn't he?
I watched an interview with somebody random that. Who did I watch him talking to? Like, it wasn't a sports journalist.
I know the interview you mean.
Or something you call it.
Who
Yeah,
were it?
that's the guy.
Castillo or something you call it.
That's the guy.
Oh, I don't know. Anyway, it wasn't. It was just
Random
random.
geezer, yeah.
It was just a random interview that I saw on YouTube. So I watched it, and he's seems confident that fight's a done deal as such. You know, I'm not. Yeah, you know my thoughts on that. I don't like that fight anyway for a number of reasons, but you know, I'm not Team Eubank Jr. at the weekend anyway. I'm sick of hearing about him now. He's just flattered to deceive. He's lost against anybody that's been above a certain level. He looks great for casuals. You know, he looks good on the eye, but his fundamentals are shit. I'm sorry they are. You're not your dad. You're not your dad. So for me, I'd love nothing better than him to get his head punched in. There you go. That's me not sitting on the fence.
Jay's Fight Talk is not on the fence. Let's get that
Can't
out
fit
there.
on it, mate. There's no space on it. You're legged out on there.
Mate, I've told you already where I'm at. I'm not on the fence anymore.
It's an interesting one because, you know, I agree with you. Eubank Jr. getting laid out in this fight would be the ultimate karma for the way he's treated the game of boxing in terms of thinking he can pick and choose opponents. Because of his name, he'll always get big fights. Unfortunately, Szeremeta's only 2 steps up, Golovkin and Munguia.
Yeah.
Stopped him both.
There's nothing else on that record. Other than those 2 12-rounders, he's only had one of the 12-rounders. So that's his 4th round.
Listen, I read his record earlier on in preparation for us chatting, and I thought I'd found a name that I recognised, and then I realised it was Diaz that played for Man City. It was just the same name. Well, I recognise that name.
Yeah, good fighter.
Nah, I don't.
He's coming off a split decision draw in his only fight this year as well. So he's not coming in having won a few fights. He's coming off a split decision draw, which from reading a few articles from Poland, it's contentious. His opponent had the better of him in that fight. He was lucky to get a draw. Look, everyone takes their opportunity. The 3 of us said we would love to see Josh Padley do it against Chamberlain, but didn't think he would, and then he did. All these Riyadh season cards produced one shock. Yep. I think all secretly we'd love it a bit if Eubank Jr. got knocked off his high perch on Saturday. But
yes.
I tell you what's happened. Eubank said to Turkey, and he said to, you know, Spencer Brown, whoever else organises the Riyadh season events, he's gone, look, give me a layup, pay me very handsomely for it, and then I'll give you the Conor Benn fight straight after. I just need a run out before I fight Conor Benn. It's as simple as that. He said himself he's too inactive.
He has, but no
shouldn't be this high up on such a big stage. That's my issue with it. This should be on a boxer card in the copper box.
My issue with it is who is Chris Eubank Jr.? What has he achieved in his career to be able to go to Turkey to say, you give me this fight, then I'll produce you a massive money fight?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
The Conor Ben fight has got even less of an appeal than it had 2 years ago because of what happened with Conor Ben, and we don't know where Conor Ben actually stands in boxing. So how do we feel about seeing him fight Eubank Jr. if we don't know where he stands within British border control? Are we just going to sweep it under the carpet? There's so many different things to that. And you're right, mate. If this was on the Copper Box card next weekend that Boxer are doing, as a it would have to be main event because he wouldn't go underneath Adam Azim, would he? We know what Eubank's like. I would feel a lot better about this fight than I do about the fact that it's potentially chief support to the light heavyweight unification. If it does go as chief support, it makes
a mockery of
Absolutely.
the British title, the Commonwealth title. The rest of the fighters on the card. For me, it's making a mockery that Eubank's just joined in 4 weeks before the event, because they only announced this fight 4-5 weeks ago.
Month ago, been a month.
There you go. So he's come swanning in towards the tail end of the event, and his co-main event. It's bullshit, man. He should not. But I know he wouldn't. But he should be way down that card. He should be. Maybe not the curtain jerker because he has got a name, but he shouldn't be co-main event. There's nothing riding on it. There's nothing other than the IBO strap that's, we take the piss out of it. It's a low-level world title. It's like winning an interim, really, isn't it? It's like a number one contenders for one of the other belts.
It's like the WBU when Ricky Hatton had it for 10 or 11 fights back in the early noughties, isn't it? That's the sort of level we're talking about.
Yeah, it's a low-level. It's a low-level world title. It's like winning a junior, WBC youth title or something. It's linked to an organisation. You've got to pay sanctioning fees and you can call yourself a champion. But when push comes to shove, it's not a recognised world title.
Yeah, I think the issue in this fight as well, you look at Szeremeta's record. Yes, Liam Smith did stop Chris Eubank Jr., but we all know that Chris Eubank Jr. has got a good chin. That was he was caught cold and, everyone...
He got hit with an elbow. Stop it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was hit with an elbow. It was ridiculous. Yeah.
It was awful.
No evidence.
I think it was a 12-6 elbow, I think. And then he caught him with his knee on the way down. God's sake. He got chinned. He just got caught cold and flat.
He did. But in fairness to him, he's got a very solid chin, and Kamil Szeremeta is not the one to crack it. So Szeremeta's probably going to have to beat him on a decision. Is he going to get a decision over Chris Eubank Jr.?
No.
My arse, is he going to get a decision over Chris Eubank Jr.?
Eubank Jr. can make this an incredibly boring fight to watch. And if he does, then he's given us ammunition to go at him for 45 minutes on Sunday, slagging him off for not dealing with this level of opposition. Because that's the truth. Eubank Jr. is getting into round 8 or 9 in this fight, and he hasn't made a dent or already finished the job. That tells you all you need to know. This level of opposition, if this was another British fighter that Eubank was challenging for a British title with the same record, we'd be saying X fighter isn't fit to fight for a British title based off his record. So why should we be any different about Szeremeta? It's a fantastic opportunity for him. I want him to maximise it. Yeah. But the reality is, he'd fight for the Polish middleweight title because there's only 6 of them. But if this was at British level, he wouldn't get close to it. And that's the reality of what this fight is, if you compare it on a British scale for us.
A filler. It's just a filler, or it's even as bad. It's like a floater. This is one of the fights that come on after the main event on a big show when there's been early knockouts and they've got time to fill for the time for the
exactly
TV.
But on the flip side, sorry, Jay. Flip side, he sold the life out of the card. With what he did at that press conference, everybody was talking about him, and that's exactly why he's on the card. That's exactly why he's got his slot, because he gets eyeballs on the card. Whether, we're not the biggest fans of him or respect any fighter that gets in there and does it. He's a tough guy. He is a good fighter. He's not amazingly good, but, he's a good fighter. You can't take that away from the guy. Right. But he's been placed strategically on this card for one reason and for one reason only. And it's for the viral moments that he produces, such as what he did at that press conference. No one else is going to say that. No one else is going to be able to get everybody talking about him rather than Artur Beterbiev against Dimitri Bivol, which is probably the best fight in the sport now. So he's done that, and he's brought more eyeballs to the card, whether anyone likes it or not, he has. And that's exactly why Turkey wanted him there.
Yeah, it's true. But I'm going to go back. It's going to be similar to a point I made about Ben Whittaker yesterday. Eubank Jr. thrives off of a crowd, whether it's a hostile crowd booing him or a crowd whooping and hollering as he does his dad going over the top rope and he, moves away from his opponent's punches in order, tomfoolery that can come with Eubank Jr. You're not going to get that with a Saudi crowd. So if he's relying on having a bit of banter, a bit of tomfoolery with the crowd as he coasts 3, 4, or 5 rounds, it's not going to be there for him. So it's weird. We talk about Ben Whittaker needs to make this step up to show he's the real deal to the level we think he's going to push on to. Eubank Jr. needs to do similar. He doesn't need to dick around and, coast through the fight. He needs to get in there and make a statement and show that, actually, maybe you could, if you catch the right world champion on the right day, become a legitimate, not just an IBO, but one of the 4 main governing bodies. Maybe you could become a legitimate world champion. Because if he does coast through this fight, if he does mess around, we're all switch off from him. We're all saying,
Fight Talk will not be there. If it goes past 5 rounds, boys, I'm going to go take my dogs out, put the kettle on, I'll be back for the main event. I don't want to watch him beating up some not journeyman, but some guy that shouldn't really be in there when he could just blast him out of there in a couple of rounds. We all know that Eubank Jr. could blast this kid out of there in a couple of rounds if he just goes for it, steps on the gas, and smash him to pieces. With the utmost respect to this guy, I've got respect for the fact that he's taken the fight. I hope he's getting very well paid, and he's going to have a go. But on skill set, Chris Eubank should batter this kid, should do. If he's half as good as he makes us try to believe he is, he should smash him to pieces inside.
Well, he's putting himself in the shop window, isn't he, for these big fights, essentially, Eubank, on Saturday night. He needs to go and blast him out. There's no... if he labours to a decision...
Is he going to labour to a points victory on purpose so that the champions think he's an even easier fight than what he was? And you know what I mean? Because there's all that nonsense as well, potentially.
Yeah, there's potential for that as well.
If Eubank Jr. does it, he does it because he believes it doesn't matter what he does, he's going to get the big fights. He needs to go out and make a statement. I'll compare it to an earlier fight in his career when he first signed for Matchroom and he fought, I think it was Tony Jetta in Sheffield on a Kell Brook undercard.
Yeah, remember it.
That's just the level we're talking about. He blasted Jetta out of there, I think it was in the second round. That's the sort of Eubank Jr. we need to see because that's the level of opponent that Szeremeta is. He's fringe, very, very fringe world level, as in you're scraping the barrel to get him there, but that's where he is. And Eubank's he's not just talking about fighting Conor Benn for money, he's talking about fighting Canelo or Hamza Shiraz or people that are going to hold legitimate world titles soon. So we need to see him make the statement. Otherwise, I'm bored of him anyway, but I'd give him even less credence if he then does get these fights, if he doesn't make a statement Saturday night.
True, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So what do you think will happen next if Eubank does get through Szeremeta? And then will it be Ben or will it be somebody else? Do we think Billy Joe Saunders come back? Canelo?
Oh, Billy Joe's not.
Heavyweight.
Nah. Billy Joe's not fighting anytime soon. I think it's Conor Benn, first quarter of next year over here somewhere. Big show.
being Saudi. If it happens.
Being Saudi, mate, Conor's not going to be able to fight.
Yeah, being Saudi, a million. Turkey ain't letting that. He put the Wembley card on.
Listen, well, I'm going to keep my powder dry on here. I'll speak to you two afterwards. But yeah, let's just say Conor Benn will be making a statement very soon.
Okay, interesting. We'll keep an eye on that. No, I just think that Turkey did that Wembley card and the LA card because fans said something. But let's see how many more Riyadh season cards stay out of Riyadh because I'm not convinced that that's going to be a regular thing. I think they will showcase things. I don't think we'll be seeing, the 5v5 with Hearn and Warren that's allegedly coming up in February. That'll be Riyadh. December the 21st, Riyadh. This weekend, Riyadh. Billum Smith against Zerdo, Riyadh. That ain't a regular thing for me, these Riyadh season events outside of Saudi.
No. It sounds really silly to say in terms of what I want to see him do next. And I give him I don't say this because I think he'll win. I'd rather see him face Canelo at 168 and face Conor Benn after this Eubank. And that's not because I think he beats Canelo, but I'd rather see that fight. Pardon?
I think it's more of a fight.
It's more of a fight. There's so many question marks around Conor Benn in his career for all the reasons we know. And regardless, he's going to make a statement soon. He's going to be back in the ring. But you were pushing that narrative on your dad's legacies 2 years ago. 2 years further on, and we've seen Eubank fight with Liam Smith at 160, where those fights were. What you're going to try bringing back down to 154 again? it ain't going to rub. It ain't going to sell.
Won't work. If Eubank can get down, I mean, can he get to 160? If he can get to 160 fight.
This is at 160.
Yeah, 160. Yeah, he can be 160.
Why aren't he fighting Janabek or Lara or Adames?
Don't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me if they push for a Lara fight to try and just get him because he's getting older.
I think it's a winnable fight for Eubank.
It is a winnable fight. Yeah, there should be. Lara's 41 years old.
Don't start slagging those 40s off, mate. I'm telling you, I can still do it.
Look, mate, nothing wrong with being 41 years old. Nothing wrong with being 51
I know, I bloody remember it, mate.
I remember it 20 years ago.
I wish I was only 41. Shit.
To be fair, Erislandy Lara has aged like a fine Cuban wine because he did knock out Danny Garcia.
Yes.
And Danny Garcia was, 36, and he looked shot to bits. And got Lara. Look at Bernard Hopkins. He's the best example of it.
True, mate, I've watched Lara Garcia back on time 60 speed, and it still looks in slow motion. So we're going to not put too much into that fight. If Eubank wants the world champion to beat up,
I'm pretty sure. Did one of us? It wasn't me.
I did, mate. Yeah, I did predict Garcia with him.
That's why he's watched it back, sobbing.
Yeah. Back to the drawing board.
Live and die by the swords, mate. Live and die by the swords.
Yeah, man. Yes, we do.
That was a Jay's Fight Talk upset of the weekend. Danny Garcia to beat Erislandy Lara. But yeah, Eubank Jr., he should be pushing for a world title fight after this. But we know Chris Eubank Jr. doesn't care about world titles. He just cares about this. That's all he cares about. He's chasing Conor Benn. He's chasing Canelo, not because he owns 3 belts, because he knows he's the biggest payday. He's chasing Terence Crawford, who was rumoured to at one point as well, wasn't he? And he's a 154 champion. The guy's just going to go where the money is. It's as simple as that. He loves his lavish Las Vegas lifestyle with his A-lister friends and all that. The guy could happily retire, and somebody of his talent and his ability, which he does have, if he retires as never been a world champion, his career has been a failure for somebody of his standard. But he won't lose any sleep over that. That doesn't bother him. That doesn't affect him.
Nah. And I think the fact that his dad's not around anymore tells us what his dad thinks about it. I know they'll say, oh, his dad's this and he's pushed his dad away. But listen, he would involve his dad. His dad doesn't want to be involved in this shite. This is a pantomime. His dad was a proper boxing man that boxed for legacy and titles and reputation, and Chris Eubank Jr. fights for none of them. He fights for a check. It's prize fighting. I get that before people start slagging me and saying you do the same. I would do the same. I'd have the IBO strap on to this day, but I'm not. I've got to graft my ass off in an office for a living. And I think his dad will be disappointed in his son's legacy because, he's made a lot of money, but he's used the family name to do not a right lot with it for me. Every time he stepped up, he's got
well, you're right. You are right, but he's getting out of his career exactly what he wants out of it.
Yeah, but he's
loaded. He's got the mansions. He's got the, all that.
I get that. But he turned over on his dad's reputation to carry the name forward. Whatever you think of Conor Benn, right? He is still trying to honour his father's legacy.
Conor Benn's after it. He wants
he's
to
about
be world
it.
champion.
Conor Benn
he is. He's a scrapper.
Conor Benn's a fighter. I'm not saying Eubank Jr. can't fight, but he's not a fighter. He is an athlete that gets paid to box. Conor Benn's about it. Conor Benn will have it with you in the car park. Chris Eubank, as long as someone's streaming it on Twitch.
Yeah,
there's a massive difference.
That is a good analogy.
He curtailed his amateur career to turn over earlier off the back of his dad's name, like you said. Remember, Senior was always there with him at the very beginning, putting the Union Jack on him, posturing in the corner in between rounds, all the Eubank showmats that we always used to have.
Yeah,
it's gone stale, mate. It's gone stale.
Yeah.
Every time, like you say, every time he steps up, he's come up short. Billy Joe Saunders. The argument was it was too soon. Look at what I did in the second half of the fight. George Groves. Yeah, no. George Groves, similar. He got taught a lesson despite Groves dislocating his shoulder, which completely
schooled him. Groves did. He did.
Groves schooled him. He had his shoulder out for the last minute of the fight, but he schooled Eubank Jr. for the rest of that fight.
He did.
And then Liam Smith whether Liam Smith caught him cold, caught him with a cheeky elbow, regardless, he got stopped and beat.
He was wobbling all over the ring and he was done. D-Dog reckons Jay's fight talk against Eubank Jr.
Dylan,
You're already training for it, mate.
No, Eubank Jr. does not want this smoke. Eubank Jr., you don't want it, mate.
How many call-outs have you had now over the last few days? You were calling someone else out?
I've got Canelo. I'm fighting Alan Babich. I'm fighting Eubank Jr. I think I've potentially pissed off Liam Cameron enough for him to want to punch my head in. Possibly Ben Whittaker. You know, line them up. Jake Paul. Any of them.
I think Misfits.
Anthony Taylor. I'll chop one of the legs off and let 160 already.
I reckon once we get to 1,000 subs, Misfits will probably be qualified for the Misfits criteria.
Give me 8 weeks, I'll fight any of them. True story. 50 or not, mate. I am unbeaten. I've not lost a fight in 25 years. I've had one. I got stopped in round 2. But I'm still unbeaten in the last 25 years.
Mate, there's no blueprint. The blueprint.
Clever marketing, mate. It's the way you spin it.
Yeah, exactly.
I've either not won a fight in a quarter of a century, or I've not lost a fight in a quarter of a century.
Glass is half full, mate. Remember
that? Marketing 101. But no, Dylan, shut up, mate. There's a line and it's getting longer. We're just missing one vital component. Jay, remember, it's called Jay's Fight Talk, not Jay's Fight Do. I struggle to fight sleep. It's all banter, mate.
It's all banter. So yeah, Chris Eubank Jr., Kamil Szeremeta. People are going to maybe use it as a coffee break, a beer break, a toilet break.
It'll end up being fight at night.
Break if you Jay's Fight Talk.
But, you know I'm lying. I'd watch.
He'll be there watching it. You know he will.
It's probably going to end up being fight at night. Szeremeta will turn up. Eubank Jr. will be off. And there'll probably be an all-out war. Is it 10 rounds? It'll be a 10-rounder.
12. No, 12 because it's got a World Tyson
IBO, yeah.
Oh, right. I forgot about that, yeah.
I tried saying that straight face. I couldn't quite laugh.
An extra 6 minutes.
What is it? 10 twos, is it? The IBO fight for 10 2-minute rounds?
11 and a half, 1.5.
Yeah.
But look, it's boxing. We'll watch it. Hopefully it's great for us as fans, but I'm underwhelmed by it, as you can tell.
There was me thinking that you're massively excited for it.
I'm just disappointed in Eubank Jr. I'm old enough to remember his dad and Nigel Benn's rivalry first time round, right? And to see their sons come through, it's brilliant. It's fantastic. I've seen it with footballers and stuff like, I'll give you an example, Paul Ince's son, or Casper Schmeichel's probably a better example because he sort of emulated his father to a certain degree. And it's awesome to see, and you want them to do as good as, even better than the dads.
Yeah.
And Chris Eubank Jr. at some stages in his career, I thought, do you know what? He could actually do it with the right marketing and the right pathway, but he's just spunked it every single time. And I think now he's too old to do what he could have done 5 or 6 years ago with the right camp, but, pulled his ego in a little bit, listened and learned a bit, and went to a coach and just was a blank canvas and let them train him, because he's an athlete and he can fight as well. I've seen videos of him street fighting when he was a kid. He can actually, but there you go, look. He had a video camera there while he was doing it, and this is before he was a professional boxer. So he's got the attributes, but he's never had them all put together in one package. He's always had bits sprinkled on top, and then they're all... even Roy Jones, God bless it. And I said, God rest his soul then. God bless Roy Jones. There could be an exclusive there, Mystic Murphy. Please, God, no. I'm only joking. But I believe that if they'd have all been put together properly, his career could have gone a lot different. But I don't believe his ego allows him to listen. When he was with Roy Jones, you could tell that he wasn't listening to what Roy Jones was saying.
No.
He was just going through the motions.
He doesn't listen to anybody. He does things his own way.
Do you remember when they brought Ronnie out? When they wheeled old Ronnie out? His dad's old trip.
Yeah.
As what?
Yeah, and then Senior was just stood in the corner, just looking at this.
Yeah, it was just...
Yeah,
Ronnie was still involved for both the fights against Liam Smith. I haven't seen him out in Saudi today. I mean, it's the grand rivals now. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see Ronnie Davis there with him. again this weekend.
No, I'm with you. Just off topic, and before we wrap, I've just seen something come through that's unrelated to this, but Martin McCauley versus Ajit Kabiel has just been ordered for an IBF final eliminator to Daniel Dubois. Expect to see that on December the 21st. What a fight.
Yeah,
I think I can go back to what I said about Roy Jones to Kabayel. God rest his soul. Martin McCauley will beat the shit out of Kabayel. I do not believe that.
Yeah, do you know what? It's a good fight, though. That is a good fight.
It might be for 3 or 4 rounds. I just think he'll overwhelm him and he'll stop him.
Oh, it's a great fight, though. Both men on fire, really.
Yeah, they are. I just think McCauley is the bogeyman for any of them.
Yeah, there's your chief support to Fury Usyk.
Yep. So done. That's it now. That should be announced.
Yeah, it's been ordered, so obviously it's not announced yet, but I'd imagine
Billy.
it will be.
Come on,
yeah, we'll have to get Billy on if that happens. Absolutely.
7:30 tomorrow, Billy. No punches pulled, brother.
yeah, we'll see you there.
We'll be there.
We know you watch, Billy. We know you love the channel, so we'll have to get you on. But yes, boys, Eubank Szeremeta. We'll watch it. We'll debate it. We'll talk about it the next day because that's what we do. Cheers to Jay and Liam for coming on. We'll see you at around about 7:30 tomorrow for No Punches Pulled, where we'll be discussing every one of the fights for Beterbiev versus Bivol. We'll have loads of chat about that. Loads of boxing news coming up as well. This December the 21st card. Rumors are starting to come out about that now. I believe they're announcing it next week. So that's where the Bakoli Kabiel rumors are coming from. McCann versus McGrail, Johnny Fisher against Dave Allen. All the rumors are starting to come to fruition now. That they don't come from nowhere, do they? We seem to always hear them a little bit before they happen. And then
how's McGrail got that fight after coming off a bad stoppage loss to Ryan Walsh?
No, it took me a while then. Yeah.
Took you a while, that didn't it?
Reese Moll McGrail. Yeah, I was like, what? Yeah,
good fights. It's coming together, isn't it?
Well, do you know what? The reckon of that December the 21st card is going to be the best of the lot. So,
wow, that is a big statement because we've had some belters this year so far. So,
well, look at this weekend and look at Wembley and look at Crawford Madrimov.
Yeah, it's I mean, I can't wait. Well, at the end of the year when we do like a review show, I mean, that's going to be 5 hours long.
That's going to be a night session, boys. Getting through.
It could well be. Just quickly, while it's on my mind, if it is going to be the best Riyadh season card of the year, when you've had Fury Usyk 1, Crawford Madrimov, Joshua Dubois, this weekend, I'm kind of thinking like those names that I've just heard.
It's not that card, is it?
Yeah. Granted, Ajit Kabiel versus Martin Bakoli is a great fight, and so is McGrail against McCann, and so is.
But they're trade fights, Sam. They're not casual. They're not fights.
They're not casual fights.
Casual fights. They're trade
fights. Maybe you get Joseph Parker in there as well against Big Bang. I think
he's got fight Sam, isn't he?
In camp with John Jones at the minute is Joseph Parker.
Is he?
He's in camp with John Jones.
The video's out last week, wasn't there?
Yeah, I saw he's with someone else, but no. What? So he's out in New Mexico?
Looks like it, yeah. I've seen videos of sparring footage with John Jones. He's got Cale Sanderson, the wrestler. He's got another wrestler, the big mixed race kid, and then Joseph Parker.
Interesting. Oh, sorry. So Jones has bought him over for boxing prep for
Stipe's Golden Gloves boxer, isn't he? So I think Jones.
Okay.
It looks that way, doesn't it? It looks like that's his boxing prep for the Stipe fight, which is fantastic. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Parker needs to fight. He hasn't fought since March.
He'll be fighting. Him against Zhang will be on this December card. Guarantee it. They'll do that rematch on this December card. That'll be what happens.
We'll see. Hopefully, Turkey does us another favour. Then on No Punches Pulled tomorrow, we'll have.
I hope so, because that's the way. It's not shaping up to be the card of the year, is it?
Well, no, you got 9 weeks-ish, 10 weeks till fight night. The fighters are going to need to be in camp soon, so we're going to need an announcement on what's going on. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see everybody at 7:30ish tomorrow for No Punches Pulled. We'll go deep on every single one of the fights on the card and obviously talk all the latest boxing news. As always, thanks to the boys, Jay and Liam, for coming.